It has been a steepled learning curve since we moved to online learning, and I promise you I've made every mistake in the book. Here are my 5 worst mistakes that I've made in online learning, so that you can learn from my mistakes and you won't make them as well. Number 1, pitching to the wrong audience. This is so easy to do in online learning. In face-to-face learning, you can see the audience, you might know some of them, you'll know their level of experience, and also you'll be able to get visual feedback on whether they're understanding what you're saying. But you don't have these visual cues in online learning. So you need to do your research. Make sure you know your audience before you talk. Find out who's being invited, who's likely to come, what's their level of experience. But also check their understanding as you go through your teaching session. And that can be with polls or with quizzes or on the chat. Make sure you know who you're pitching to so you get the level right. Mistake 2, talking at people for too long. You can't talk to people for a long time on the online format without them losing interest. You shouldn't be delivering didactic teaching content for 30 minutes or 45 minutes online. People will not keep their attention. The most you should be talking at people for is 10 to 15 minutes or less. And when your session goes on for longer than that, think about ways to break it up. Think about ways to engage them and draw them in, whether that's through whiteboard, through breakout rooms, or through quizzes. Make sure you consider this. You should not be just talking at a screen. Mistake 3, not knowing the platform. This has happened to me where I've tried to break people into breakout rooms and it hasn't worked as planned. And that's because I haven't taken the time to know the platform. So whatever platform you're teaching on, take time before your session to know what it does. If you need to use the chat, make sure you know who can post and how it works. If you need to use a whiteboard, make sure you know who can draw on the whiteboard and how to clear it, how to start it, and how to close it. Know your platform. Mistake 4, slides looking bad when they're blown up on a full screen. And this has happened to me where I've tested the slides on a smaller screen and then suddenly I notice them on a bigger screen and they're really pixelated and grainy. This gives your learners a bad experience on the other end. Make sure you use high resolution images so that when your slides are blown up on a giant screen, they'll look great. And mistake 5, talking on mute. This is one of the most frustrating things to happen, where you get your flow going and then you realise you've been on mute. This is a simple tech problem. It kind of ties in with knowing your platform, but knowing how to connect your audio and how to test it before you go on. Make sure you've got the right mic connected that you want to use, make sure it's not on mute, and make sure the audience are able to hear you. These are the top 5 mistakes that I have made. Don't make them as well. It will make your online learning a lot better if you can avoid them.